Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the explosive developments unfolding this Friday, February 6, as Port Charles residents find themselves entangled in a web of deception, medical controversies, and family conflicts that threaten to tear apart the very fabric of their relationships. Trina's growing concerns about Willow. The day begins with a tense conversation between Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor that reveals the depths of their concerns about recent events. Trina, visibly shaken and increasingly agitated, confronts Kai with a question that cuts to the heart of their worries. What else is she capable of? The weight of this inquiry hangs heavy in the air as both young adults grapple with the disturbing implications of what they've witnessed. Their discussion centers around two women who have made questionable choices, Willow Corinthos and Portia Robinson, though the immediate focus appears to be on Willow's alarming behavior. Kai, who remains employed by Drew Kane despite the complicated circumstances, finds himself in the uncomfortable position of having insider knowledge about Willow's intentions. Both he and Trina are fully aware of the shocking truth that Willow was the one who pulled the trigger and shot her own husband, a fact that continues to haunt their conversations. What makes this situation even more troubling is that Kai has recently learned about Willow's plans to provide home care for Drew, bringing him into her residence where she'll have complete and unsupervised access to him during his vulnerable state of recovery. The complexity of their emotions regarding this situation cannot be overstated. While neither Trina nor Kai would have shed tears had Willow's attempt on Drew's life succeeded given his manipulative actions and the pain he's caused to those around him, the fact that she's managed to escape any legal consequences for her actions sits uneasily with both of them. Trina in particular finds this miscarriage of justice deeply troubling, as her strong sense of right and wrong refuses to accept such blatant inequity in the legal system. The speculation takes a darker turn as Trina begins to theorize about Willow's true motivations for insisting on bringing Drew home. In Trina's increasingly worried mind, this isn't an act of compassion or responsibility, it's a calculated move to position herself for a second attempt. She's convinced that Willow is orchestrating Drew's homecoming not to care for him but to finish what she started, this time ensuring there are no witnesses and no chance of survival for her victim. Willow's aggressive campaign at General Hospital. Meanwhile, within the sterile corridors of General Hospital, Willow has launched an aggressive campaign to convince the medical staff to release Drew into her custody. Her target is Elizabeth Baldwin, a compassionate nurse who nonetheless maintains professional boundaries when it comes to patient care and safety. Willow's approach is anything but subtle as she practically corners Elizabeth, her desperation manifesting in increasingly forceful arguments about why she should be allowed to take Drew home. The intensity of Willow's pleading reaches uncomfortable levels as she makes her case, insisting with unwavering conviction that she is the only person capable of providing Drew with what he needs during this critical phase of his recovery. Her words carry an almost possessive quality as if she's claiming ownership over Drew's care and well-being. The irony of the situation that the woman who put him in this condition now argues she's his best chance at recovery seems lost on Willow. Or perhaps she's simply an exceptionally skilled actress. This controversial plan hasn't gone unnoticed by other Port Charles residents. Nina Reeves, ever the concerned family member, had previously confided in Liesl Obrecht about Willow's intentions to bring Drew home. Liesl's response was swift and unequivocal. She expressed her professional medical opinion that Drew's condition warrants placement in a long-term care facility where trained medical professionals can monitor him around the clock. Such facilities are specifically designed to handle patients with Drew's level of medical needs, providing the specialized equipment and expertise that a home environment simply cannot match. However, Willow remains undeterred by these medical recommendations and the concerns of those around her. She displays a stubborn determination that borders on obsessive as she continues to insist that she's fully capable of checking Drew out of the hospital and managing his care independently at home. Her planning has been meticulous and calculated, ensuring every detail is in place for Drew's transition to their shared residence. But beneath this veneer of devoted caretaking lies something far more sinister. Willow's motivations extend well beyond simple medical care, encompassing deadly intentions that she's managed to keep hidden from most of Port Charles. Curtis seeks legal counsel from Alexis, In another corner of Port Charles, Curtis Ashford finds himself in Alexis Davis's office, seeking her legal expertise on a matter that's consuming his thoughts day and night. The accomplished attorney listens carefully to Curtis's concerns before offering him advice that's as wise as it is simple. Just because he has the capability to do something doesn't necessarily mean he should proceed with that action. Her words carry the weight of experience, urging Curtis to consider the broader implications of his choices. The subject of their discussion revolves around the baby that Portia is currently carrying and Curtis's overwhelming desire to establish paternity immediately. His impatience has reached a breaking point and he's seriously considering pushing for a paternity test despite the potential risks involved. Portia, demonstrating maternal instinct and medical knowledge, has been resistant to this idea, expressing legitimate concerns about subjecting the developing fetus to any unnecessary procedures or stress during these crucial early months of pregnancy. Her request to wait until at least the second trimester isn't unreasonable. It's a medically sound approach that prioritizes the health and safety of the unborn child. The second trimester brings increased stability and reduced risks, making it a more appropriate time for such testing if it must be done. However, Curtis's characteristic impatience is working against him in this situation. He's never been one to sit idly by when he wants answers, and waiting several more months feels like an eternity to him. Alexis does her absolute best to help Curtis understand the situation from Portia's perspective, urging him to exercise patience and to respect the mother's wishes regarding when she feels comfortable proceeding with paternity testing. She reminds him that this isn't just about getting answers quickly, it's about ensuring the health and well-being of both Portia and the baby. The wisdom in waiting isn't a sign of weakness or avoidance, it's a demonstration of care and consideration for all parties involved in this delicate situation. Michael's update to his parents. Back at the Corinthos residence, Michael has arranged a meeting with his parents Carly and Sonny Corinthos to brief them on the outcomes of the preliminary custody and visitation hearing proceedings. The atmosphere is tense as Michael explains that the results weren't exactly what either he or Willow had hoped to achieve. The reality of co-parenting with someone who's proven themselves capable of violence has created a complicated legal landscape that requires compromise from both parties. Michael reveals that he ultimately agreed to certain concessions more so than Willow did, because the alternative scenarios presented during the negotiations were simply unacceptable to him as a father. He made the difficult decision to put the matter to rest for now, rather than continue fighting and potentially end up with an even less average. His words reflect the exhaustion of someone who's been through an emotional wringer, trying to balance his desire to protect his children with the legal realities of parental rights. The core of Michael's concerns centers on his children's exposure to potentially dangerous individuals and situations. His preference would be to ensure that Wiley and Amelia Corinthos have absolutely no contact with Drew, regardless of the man's current incapacitated state. Even though Drew cannot speak or move, Michael views his mere presence as a negative influence and potential threat to his children's well-being and safety. Perhaps even more troubling to Michael is his lack of trust in Willow's judgment and actions, particularly when it comes to unsupervised time with their children. The woman who was once his wife and trusted co-parent has now become someone he views with suspicion and concern. He would strongly prefer that any time Willow spends with Wiley and Amelia be monitored by a responsible third party, someone who can ensure the children's safety and well-being at all times. Chase's meltdown at the Quartermain mansion. The tensions that have been building for weeks finally reach a boiling point at the Quartermain mansion, where Harrison Chase experiences a complete emotional breakdown. His frustration and anger, which have been simmering beneath the surface, erupt in a display that leaves his wife, Brooke Lynn Quartermain Chase, both concerned and exasperated. The cause of his distress remains his obsessive focus on Willow and the circumstances surrounding her exoneration from attempted murder charges. Brooke Lynn watches helplessly as her husband spirals, unable to let go of what he perceives as a grave injustice. She confronts him with mounting frustration in her voice, demanding to know why he can't simply move on from this situation. Her question cuts to the heart of the problem: Chase's inability to accept the outcome and his compulsive need to continue investigating and questioning the official findings, even when doing so, has already cost him dearly. The personal and professional consequences of Chase's single-minded pursuit have been severe and undeniable. His obsessive quest to prove Willow innocent, ironically resulting in her exoneration, led directly to the loss of his detective position. a demotion that represents a significant step backward in his law enforcement career. He's been relegated back to patrol duty, a humbling return to the basics of police work that must feel like a punishment for his dedication to what he believed was the truth. In reality, Chase should consider himself fortunate that Acting Police Commissioner Dante Falconeri chose to show mercy in his judgment. After suspending Chase for his unauthorized actions and disregard for proper procedures, Dante could have easily terminated his employment entirely. The fact that Chase still has a job at all speaks to Dante's understanding and perhaps recognition of Chase's good intentions, even if his methods were questionable. The argument between Chase and Brooklyn continues to escalate, with both partners expressing their frustrations and concerns. Brooklyn's patience is wearing thin as she watches the man she loves self-destruct over a situation that's already been resolved in the eyes of the law. She recognizes that Chase's inability to let go of this obsession threatens not just his career, but their marriage as well. If he doesn't make a conscious decision to straighten up and fly right, he may find himself facing the loss of something far more precious than his detective badge, his relationship with the woman who stood by him through thick and thin. Next, we will learn about the explosive developments surrounding Willow Tate's desperate mission to reclaim her children and the shocking revelation that could turn Port Charles upside down. The shooting of Drew Kane seemed like it would finally fade from the headlines of Port Charles drama. But Tracy Quartermain has just dropped a bombshell that threatens to reignite the entire scandal in ways nobody could have anticipated. The matriarch of the Quartermain family has revealed something that sends shockwaves through everyone who hears it. She possesses a key to Drew Kane's private residence. This seemingly small detail has enormous implications for multiple storylines currently unfolding, and the ripple effects of this revelation are only beginning to surface across Port Charles. According to General Hospital, spoilers for the 5th of February 2026, Willow Tate is preparing to make what can only be described as a bold and potentially dangerous move. The woman who once embodied grace and measured responses has been transformed into someone almost unrecognizable. Ever since Willow fell under Drew Kane's spell, her behavior has been increasingly erratic and unpredictable. Friends and family members have watched in dismay as she made one questionable decision after another, each choice pulling her further from the woman they once knew. However, despite all the chaos swirling around her personal life, one fundamental truth remains absolutely unchanged and unshakable. Willow's fierce, unwavering love for her children runs deeper than any romantic entanglement or personal scandal could ever reach. The mother of two has reached her breaking point, and she's decided that enough is enough. Willow has made the definitive decision to seize back control of her life from the two powerful men who systematically stripped away her agency and power. One man wooed her with calculated affection and manipulative tactics, while the other responded with vindictive jealousy and calculated cruelty. Between Michael Corinthos and Drew Kane, Willow found herself caught in a destructive crossfire that cost her everything she held most precious. Now she is ready to fight back with every weapon at her disposal, no matter how unconventional or risky those methods might be. For Willow Tate, the concept of justice has crystallized into two names that mean more to her than anything else in this world: Wiley and Amelia. Her precious children represent everything she's fighting for, and she's prepared to do absolutely anything necessary to bring them back into her arms. The path that led to losing custody of her children reads like a perfect storm of manipulation and systemic failure. Drew's love-bombing campaign left her emotionally vulnerable and confused about her own feelings and desires. Michael's jealous rage and vindictive response to her relationship with Drew created a toxic environment that nobody could navigate successfully. And perhaps most frustratingly of all, a deeply flawed family court system failed to protect what should have been Willow's fundamental rights as a mother. The combination of these three factors created the perfect conditions for disaster, and Willow paid the ultimate price. General Hospital recaps have been tracking the emergence of new developments that are raising serious suspicions around Tracy Quartermain's involvement in recent events. The revelation about the key to Drew's home isn't just idle gossip. Multiple people in Port Charles are now aware that Tracy has access to Drew Kane's private residence, and this knowledge is spreading through the community like wildfire. What makes this situation even more suspicious is the undeniable fact that Drew would never, under any conceivable circumstances, have willingly handed over a key to his home to Tracy Quartermain. Their relationship has never been warm enough to warrant that level of trust or access. The mystery deepens when we consider Tracy's own admission to both Gio and Emma that she had taken it upon herself to have a duplicate copy made of Scout's house key. This brazen confession reveals a pattern of behavior that suggests Tracy feels entitled to access private spaces regardless of permission or propriety. Meanwhile, the spoilers for the 5th of February 2026 confirm that Willow is indeed preparing to execute her bold plan. Mrs. Drew Kane, a title that now carries the weight of scandal and controversy, has transformed into a woman on an unwavering mission. She won't rest, won't compromise, and won't back down until she successfully takes back what rightfully belongs to her. Her children represent not just her maternal legacy, but her very reason for existing, and she's prepared to move heaven and earth to reunite with them. The bold move that Willow is planning could potentially be the game changer she desperately needs to secure custody of Wiley and Amelia once and for all. The most intriguing aspect of this developing situation centers on a fascinating possibility. Could Willow potentially eliminate two major obstacles with a single strategic action? General Hospital rumors are buzzing with speculation that Willow's master plan involving Tracy's unauthorized key could actually implicate both Michael Corinthos and Tracy Quartermain in serious wrongdoing. The scenario being whispered about in Port Charles suggests a conspiracy theory that's almost too perfect to be coincidental. Were Tracy and Michael secretly working together all along, coordinating their efforts to destroy Willow and strip her of her parental rights? The evidence could certainly be interpreted that way if presented correctly to the right authorities. Even if Tracy and Michael weren't actually collaborating in any formal sense, Willow wouldn't hesitate for a single moment to construct and present that exact narrative to anyone who would listen. After enduring everything that Michael has put her through, the emotional manipulation, the legal warfare, the systematic dismantling of her reputation and credibility, she has every justification to use whatever tactics become necessary. The gloves are off now, and Willow is prepared to fight with the same ruthless efficiency that her opponents have demonstrated throughout this entire ordeal. Some might question Willow's methods or express concern about the ethical implications of her strategy, but those critics haven't walked in her shoes. They haven't experienced the soul-crushing agony of being separated from their children due to circumstances largely beyond their control. Willow should absolutely do whatever she needs to do, employ whatever strategies become necessary, and pursue whatever opportunities present themselves if those actions bring her one step closer to reuniting with Wiley and Amelia. The ends justify the means when children's well-being and a mother's fundamental rights hang in the balance. The coming days promise to deliver explosive confrontations and shocking revelations as Willow's plan unfolds. Tracy Quartermain may have thought she was being clever by obtaining unauthorized access to Drew's home, but that decision could ultimately become her downfall. Michael Corinthos might believe he has successfully neutralized Willow as a threat to his control, but he's about to discover that a mother fighting for her children is the most dangerous opponent of all. And Drew Kane's role in this entire mess continues to complicate an already impossibly tangled situation. The stage is set for a dramatic showdown that will reverberate through Port Charles for months to come. And Willow Tate stands at the center of it all, ready to reclaim her children and her life by any means necessary.